When you feel alone, remember this: you are still held by something larger than your loneliness. Even in the silence that seems endless, life has not forgotten you. The world still breathes with you, quietly, faithfully, waiting for you to notice that you are not as invisible as you think. There are moments when solitude feels heavy, like a room without windows, when every heartbeat echoes too loudly, and every thought feels like a wave crashing against the same closed shore. You wonder if anyone truly sees you, or if your existence is just a shadow passing unnoticed. But even shadows are proof that light exists somewhere. Loneliness is not the absence of people. It is the absence of feeling understood. You may be surrounded by voices and still feel unheard. You may smile and still feel unseen. Yet, this feeling, painful as it is, carries within it a hidden invitation, an opening to discover something deeper, something that no noise or company can replace. When you sit in silence and feel the ache of being alone, try not to run from it too quickly. Because somewhere within that ache, there is a truth that has been waiting patiently to be seen. It whispers, "You are enough, even without applause. You are loved, even when no one says it aloud. You are whole, even when you cannot feel it." Think of the seed beneath the earth. It lies in darkness for a long time, surrounded by silence, unseen by the world. If the seed could speak, it might call that darkness loneliness. But within that hidden place, something sacred happens. Roots begin to form. Growth begins in the dark. The loneliness that feels like an ending is often the beginning of becoming. There will be seasons when life feels distant, when even prayer feels like words thrown into an empty sky. But silence is not always rejection. Sometimes, silence is how the universe holds you close. It is in the quiet that the soul learns to breathe without distraction, to see without the need for constant light. When you feel abandoned, remember the ocean. The surface may seem calm or chaotic, but beneath it, there is always movement, a silent rhythm that never stops. In the same way, even when you cannot sense meaning or love around you, something deep within you continues to move toward life. You are still part of a vast current, carried gently by forces greater than your pain. There are people who have walked through the same invisible corridors you are walking now. People who felt forgotten, unseen, unheard. Yet, somewhere in their quiet struggle, they began to see beauty again. They discovered that loneliness, though sharp, can also be sacred. It strips away the noise, the masks, the illusions of control, leaving only what is real, what endures. When you sit with your loneliness long enough, it begins to change its shape. At first, it feels like emptiness. Then, it begins to feel like space. Space where you can breathe. Space where new thoughts can be born. Space where grace can enter without knocking. Perhaps this is what the soul has been asking for. Not company, but connection. Not distraction, but presence. Presence with yourself. Presence with the quiet voice within you that you have forgotten to listen to. When the noise of the world fades, that voice becomes clearer. It says, "You are not forgotten. You belong to this moment, to this breath, to this life." Loneliness can be a teacher, though its lessons are hard. It teaches us the difference between needing attention and needing love. It shows us that true companionship begins within, when we can sit with our own hearts and not turn away. You might not realize it, but in your loneliness, you are learning tenderness. You are learning to notice small things again: the sound of rain, the warmth of sunlight, the quiet miracle of waking up to another day. These are not small things. These are the ways the world tells you, gently, that you still matter. There is a kind of sacred humility that comes when we admit, "I feel alone." Because in that moment, we are not pretending anymore. We are not performing. We are simply human, fragile, yet still reaching for love. And in that reaching, we touch the heart of what it means to be alive. Do not be afraid of the nights when you feel no one is there. Sometimes, it is in those very nights that something unseen sits beside you. Maybe not in the way you expect, not with words, not with touch, but with presence. Presence that cannot be measured, only felt in the quiet of your chest. If you have ever watched the sunrise after a long, sleepless night, you know what hope looks like. It doesn't arrive suddenly. It doesn't erase the darkness. It just begins to glow at the edge of everything. Soft, patient, promising. That is how healing works. That is how companionship returns. Not all at once, but slowly, like morning light finding its way through a window. When you feel alone, remember that someone, somewhere, is breathing with the same ache in their chest. You may never meet them, but your hearts are learning the same lesson, that to be human is to be both separate and connected. We are all threads in the same unseen tapestry, holding each other even when we do not know it. Maybe the point is not to escape loneliness, but to let it transform you, to let it teach you compassion for yourself and for others who suffer quietly beside you. When you have known what it is to feel unseen, you begin to see others more clearly. You begin to listen without judgment, to hold without needing to fix. This is how loneliness becomes love. The next time you find yourself in an empty room, feeling forgotten, look around carefully. Notice the stillness. Notice how the air itself holds you. Notice that, even in your solitude, the world continues to move. The trees outside breathing, the clouds passing, the stars watching. You are still part of this movement, still written into the story of everything. Sometimes, the way out of loneliness is not through searching for others, but through remembering that you already belong. You belong to the sky above you, to the earth beneath you, to the gentle rhythm of your heartbeat. You belong to the same mystery that gives life to all things. You were never meant to be perfect, only real, only open, only alive. Do not rush your loneliness away. Sit with it, like an old friend who has something important to say. Ask it what it wants to show you. Maybe it will teach you to slow down, to notice, to feel again. Maybe it will help you remember the simple truth that love is not always loud or visible. Sometimes, it is the quiet strength that keeps you breathing when everything else feels too heavy. There is a tenderness that grows in solitude. It softens the heart, humbles the spirit, reminds us that we are small, but not insignificant. The same vastness that makes you feel alone is the same vastness that holds you. Loneliness shows you how much space there is, not just around you, but within you. Space for grace, space for others, space for the unexpected light that still wants to find you. In the end, maybe we are never truly alone. Maybe what we call loneliness is simply the soul's way of reminding us to look deeper, to rediscover the quiet companionship of existence itself. Every tree, every bird, every breath of wind is a quiet companion, whispering, "You are still part of this." Even pain has its place. It is the soil where empathy grows. It is what makes us gentle, what makes us reach for one another, what teaches us to pray without words. The person who has known loneliness deeply often becomes the one who can make others feel seen. And that is a kind of quiet miracle. If you ever doubt your worth, remember the ocean again. No wave is forgotten. No drop is wasted. Each one belongs to the whole. Each one moves with purpose, even when it seems lost. You, too, are part of something that vast, that unbreakable. You are not behind in life. You are not less than those who seem surrounded by people. The quiet path you are walking now has its own meaning. It is preparing your heart for something, perhaps not more company, but deeper connection. Connection with what truly matters, with what lasts. When you begin to see loneliness as a companion instead of an enemy, it loses its power to wound you. It becomes a mirror, reflecting what you have forgotten about yourself, your strength, your tenderness, your capacity to love without needing to be loved back in the same way. Remember, even the stars shine alone in the sky, yet together they create constellations. Your light, too, contributes to something greater, even if you cannot see the pattern yet. Someone, somewhere, may find comfort just knowing that you exist, that you are enduring, that you are still shining in your quiet way. So when the night feels long, when your room feels empty, when your heart aches for connection, breathe. Sit in that moment and remind yourself, I am still here. And being here, fully, is enough. You do not have to earn belonging. You are already part of the great, gentle web of life that holds everything together. You are not forgotten. You are not alone in your aloneness. You are accompanied by silence, by air, by memory, by the quiet pulse of a love that never left you. Maybe that love has no name. Maybe it does not speak. But it is real. It is what wakes you each morning, what steadies you when you fall, what waits for you patiently every time you forget who you are. There will be times when loneliness feels unbearable, when it feels like no light can reach you. But even then, remember the seed. Remember the dawn. Remember that darkness is not the opposite of light. It is its cradle. It is where light is born. You are not a mistake. Your solitude is not a punishment. It is a pause, a sacred space between what was and what will be. In this space, you are being reshaped, gently, quietly, into someone who can love more deeply, see more clearly, live more truthfully. So, when you feel alone, remember this: you are never truly alone. You are part of a love that is too vast to be seen, too constant to be felt every moment, yet too faithful to ever let you go. May you find peace in your solitude. May you find comfort in your own breath. And may you remember, even in the quietest hours, that you are loved, simply because you are.